Hi, friends, and welcome to Oli Green. An arts graduate and a postgraduate in journalism, she is skilled in journalism, arts, project plans, communication, and content writing. It is our honor to have with us today Ms. Bhavna Menon, who is currently employed with Last Wilderness Foundation, an NGO working towards wildlife conservation, working in the capacity of program manager. Welcome, Bhavna, to Oli Green.
You. Thank you so
Uh,
much.
Yeah. We see that your studies were in the field of arts and then into journalism. How come you've come into a totally different field of wildlife conservation?
That's an excellent question, Abby, and I've always maintained this that conservation is a very forgiving field, and you don't need to ever be a biologist or a scientist or someone with huge biology backing to get into the world of conservation because it's so vast. I mean, there are communities, there is species level, there is landscape level, there is culture, tradition, so much. But that being said, my studies have actually helped me work for the last decade and a half with communities because I did psychology, which of course helped me in a certain way understand people. And journalism, of course, I have a passion for writing. I may not necessarily be excellent at it, but I love writing. And that helped me pen down some of the many, many stories waiting to be told on field. There are so many stories. Everything is a story in conservation at the end of the day. And that's helped me marry the two subjects and work put it together for working in conservation.
Okay. Currently, you're with this Wildlife Last Wilderness Foundation
Yeah,
with specific focus on human wildlife conflict.
yeah, yeah.
Can you give us an insight into what exactly you mean by the human wildlife conflict and what are the activities that Last Wilderness do otherwise?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So, interestingly enough, Last Wilderness, the first project ever, was started in 2012. So, it was called the Village Kids Awareness Program, which catered to addressing almost 96. So, every tiger reserve, Abbey, has a core and buffer zone. Core is an inviolate space for animals. There are no villages inside. There are no people inside, and there is a buffer zone which is like the boundary around the core, which has all the villages and where people live and they can farm there, agriculture or whatever occupation they can
Okay.
practice there. So when we started our Village Kids Awareness Program, our idea was to work in tandem with the community members who are living in the buffer zone
Buffer
of the
zone.
tiger
Okay.
reserve. Yeah. So, and we realized that, many a times adults are already very set in their ways. They are not that perceiving of ideas, and especially two people who are coming from Bombay, or coming from an urban setting. It is a little off-putting for them to listen to us into how to, why should we be telling them to protect the landscape when they've been, which is also true, which is why we focused on the younger generation uh, in the villages, which is the kids. And
Okay.
kids are easily moldable and they're more perceptive and more receptive to ideas and to talk, which is when we worked in 96 villages and almost we must have addressed easily close to a lakh odd children, yeah, in 8 years. So
Okay.
how did this come about was, I'll take you back to 2010. There was this field director who is the highest authority in any tiger reserve, and he and my founder, Mr. Nikhil Nagle, they were in talks about what we can do to safeguard tiger reserves like Bandhavgarh, which at that point of time was facing a lot of conflict. By conflict, I mean because people are living so close to tiger reserves, often there is presence of tiger in villages to pick up lift cattle, right? And when they do lift cattle, people, because it's an economic loss for them when they lose cattle, it's not just an emotion, it's also a huge economic loss. So often there were revenge killings, there was electrocution of tigers, and apart from killing tigers, even people were getting attacked. It's not just the tiger getting attacked, it was also the people, lives of people in danger, wherein they would go into the forest to collect produce, and often they may get attacked by a bear or elephant, or actually not even that time there were no elephants that time. Now I'll come to that now. But but tigers and sloth bears and leopards. So what we decided to do was we decided to have interactive sessions. It was something very, very basic. We used to take the children inside the tiger reserve with the help of the forest department, who played an instrumental role in this. We took the children inside the forest, tried to show them a tiger, tried to show them the entire the biodiversity that exists around their own village, and come back, have lunch with them, spend the day with them, watch a conservation movie together, play wildlife games, talk to them, so that it's almost like we're telling them that this is your park. We are the outsiders. This is yours, which is why we're coming from so many kilometers away to tell you to safeguard it. We're not telling you how to do it, but we would like to discuss what is the easiest way to protect yourself as well as animals. Because animals are also important, and so is your life. For all these years, a lot of time community members are told, save this, protect this, protect this. Array, if they haven't seen the animal, it's like telling someone in India, save giraffes.
Okay.
I mean, not everybody has the privilege of seeing a giraffe. So, for them to even imagine, hey, I don't even know what a giraffe looks like. Why would I protect it? What is the importance of a giraffe? So, same way, when these kids were taken inside the tiger reserve and they saw the tigers, they realized not only what a beautiful animal it is, but what an important animal it is to the entire ecosystem. Because they used to explain how it was the apex predator at the top of the food chain. So if the tiger goes, everything you're seeing right now sitting in the vehicle goes. So that was one, Abby, that was the biggest program we did for 8 years, the Village Kids Awareness Program.
Okay.
But now Bandhavgarh, and in fact the human wildlife conflict percentage came down a lot. It came down by almost 80%.
Okay.
And now, unfortunately, Bandhavgarh is slightly in trouble again because elephants have come in from Chhattisgarh. So Bandhavgarh, yeah. So now, like a few elephants had come earlier. They loved the habitat. They saw that there was enough to eat. So they gave babies as well. There were calves as well. So now it's almost like 50, 100 odd elephants in Bandhavgarh. And people don't know how to live with this animal. They don't know what to do with it because Bandhavgarh has not had elephants in such a long period of time. So now we are working together with the areas that has specific presence of the elephants to create awareness on how to be safe around such animals. So that is one big work of conflict that we run in Bandhavgarh. But apart from that, in Panna also there is an issue of forest fires, a massive issue of forest fires, because it is extremely dry as a landscape. Panna in like April and May, you won't survive. It's so hot because it's rocky and the vegetation is very dry. It's mostly teak forests. So even if you put one matchstick, the whole entire, I don't know how many acres of forest will just die. So since 2020, we've started the forest fires awareness program with the villagers, again in association with the forest department, and we've almost addressed 2,000 odd people in the sensitive villages. And the good part is that the rate of forest fire has gone down quite a lot in Panna. In fact, now the villagers compete with each other. Hey, मेरे गांव में आग नहीं लगा है. My village is not caught fire. The forest around my village is safe. Is your village safe? So they compete and they have this friendly banter where they also keep each other motivated, which is the way to go. There is so much an external force can do. Unless the community members are not motivated to protect the landscape, you really can't hope to conserve. Yeah. So these two are two major ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Now coming to also Wilderness Foundation, Last Wilderness Foundation has also engaged in training and equipping communities living near the forest to reduce their dependency on forests. What exactly is that activity? On the livelihood part.
Yeah, actually our role, Abby, is very less in this because we don't really even need to train them in any skill sets. We always work with what skill set is already available. Okay. So our rule as an NGO, as an organization, is never to bring in a foreign skill set. We always work with the traditional skill set. So for this, the biggest example is the Bega jewelry that we work with the ladies in Kanha. So there's a tribe called the Begas who've been there since time immemorial, and their traditional skill set is to make jewelry. So
Okay.
it took us, and the forest department had invited us to work with the community because they were extremely dependent on this leaf called the mahul leaf. It's also
Okay.
called the camel's foot leaf, and it's rather large and it's in shape of a camel's foot, which is used to make plates and bowls, and it's
Oh,
sold in the market. But what happens is again when they spend the whole day in collecting that leaf, it leads to degradation of the habitat one, and
okay.
it can lead to conflict again. So we wanted to slightly reduce the pressure on the forest by working with the women and men in these villages, Bega hamlets. And first there was of course a lot of resistance because the Begas are the most content with their lives. They don't want to change anything about their lives, which is actually a beautiful trait to have. But since we wanted to reduce the pressure, we needed to urgently work with their skill sets and seeing how to move them away slightly. So it took us a year almost to work with the women Bega ladies, but in the end, now we work with almost 4 villages and 40 odd ladies that we're working with in a village called Bandha Tola and another village called Jagrah Tola and another place called Chichringpur, Kursipar, sorry. And the most beautiful part is that when we first started the project, the men were very against the project. They said, "Arey kuch nahi hoga. Aap ek baar aayenge. You'll come once. You'll tell our ladies, and you'll go away." It always happens that way. But we said, when they saw us coming again and again like eager beavers every time, every month, they've decided कि अच्छा चलो, they must be meaning, they must have some attachment towards this project. So in fact, when the women were ill or they were pregnant, the men were the one who were also making jewelry.
Oh,
So they took, yeah. So that way, a whole community, a whole village got involved in that process, and the response of for the jewelry was absolutely massive, not just domestically but internationally as well.
okay.
And
And
seeing the
you help them out in marketing this also, or
yes, so this particular model, we used to give them the raw materials also in making
okay,
the jewelry, and
okay,
we have an online partner called NatureWorks India who is helping it market.
okay,
Since we couldn't sell it as an NGO, we had put it up online.
okay, okay,
Yeah. And the same thing we did in another village called Khatia, where there were more villages that had been relocated from within the reserve, from within the core area. So the forest department wanted us to work specifically with those people to give them a source of livelihood. So the jewelry there is very different. It's not the traditional Bega jewelry, but we got a trainer to train them to make necklaces and earrings, and that also is doing extremely well now. It's two villages called Manegaon and forgetting the other one. Manegaon and Khatia, all Begas.
okay. And the Last Wilderness Foundation is basically working only in the Bombay, Maharashtra area, or have they spread out to across the country?
No, it's only in MP right now, not
Oh, I see.
Maharashtra. MP,
Okay,
Madhya Pradesh.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
And what is your role as a program manager? And one more thing is, how do you collaborate your skills like arts and journalism and all into this as a
Yeah.
program manager, this work as a program manager?
So my main role is to, of course, help formulate projects to come up with ideas on how we can work with different community members, whether it's enrolling the children in education or livelihood opportunities or conservation outreach. So that's one. Planning the projects, and of course, we also it's just actually our core team consists of only 3 people, and we have two coordinators on the ground as well.
Okay,
So, but the main work has to be done by these 3 core members. So, out of which I am the program manager. So, I'm supposed to help plan the projects as well as help execute it on the ground. But we also raise funds because we are completely externally funded now. Earlier, it was funded by a founder for the almost 8, 9 years, which is actually another success story. Yeah, he was internally funding it. So, he is the backbone of our organization. Uh, but after that, we wanted to take it to other people. I felt that people should have this ownership. It should not just be
okay,
within the organization. More and more people should get involved. So we got corporate sponsorships. We had a lot of individual donors who helped us exceptionally especially during COVID. And there's this, Abby, I want to tell you about this project that we are running. It's called the Pardi Student Sponsorship Program. So
Okay.
I work with a very interesting hunting tribe in Panna.
Okay.
So they have
Okay.
been hunters. So when Panna lost all of its tigers in 2009, like the tigers went locally extinct in Panna. So we started working with this community called the Pardis, who were supposed to be responsible for the decimation of tiger numbers. So for the past decade, we've been working with the children to enroll them into education. So we've started getting sponsorship for them so that they don't drop out of school.
Okay.
And we have, because of that program, we've had 5 graduates now from the community.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of whom is actually working now as a research assistant at an agricultural institute. So he's, in fact, the first from his community to do a formal job. So that's one. And with them also, we have started alternate livelihood. So they are excellent in animal mimicry, and they know animal interaction science very, very well. Like they can tell you uh, how old the track would be, or whether the animal will use that track again, and which animal it is exactly. Brilliant skill set. So we started something called Walk with the Pardis with them, wherein
Oh,
they take tourists and guests on a walk. So they've almost taken 1,000 odd guests already on a walk,
sort of
both inside.
responsible tourism kind of a thing.
Exactly,
Ecotourism.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Because I always feel that okay, conservation outreach, so you can tell the community members protect the landscape, bachao, and we've been always having sessions with them, telling them how to be safe, how to safeguard the landscape. But what are you giving them in turn? You have to give them a solution too, whether it's the beggar jewelry or it's the walk with the pardis. So that's what we came up with.
And this, other than the CSR funding and well-wishers funding, you have any fundraising activity as such? Okay, now this ecotourism is one.
Yeah.
The forest trail, forest trekking is one part that you said. Other than that, is there any other fundraising program that you run?
So we've been involved in exhibitions where we also display the products and we tell people about the organization, but we haven't had major events as such yet. But if
Okay.
anybody wants to help us organize such events, they're most welcome. It'll have to be done on a voluntary basis, of course.
Okay.
But if anybody thinks there's a platform where we can raise more awareness and raise funds for such community members or activities, we would love to think of a collaboration.
You'll surely give the link for supporting the foundation in the description. We'll do
Right.
that and we'll see how it works. I mean, we will surely try and activate some
Yeah.
opening towards that.
And
Now
Abhi, I would
coming,
also very
yeah,
proud of to say this that all these ecotourism activities, this walk with the Pardis. Apart from this, we also have in Bandhugad and Panna, we also have village walks, and you can also enjoy a village dinner or lunch with the community
oh,
members. Yeah,
okay, okay,
all of these proceeds from all of these ecotourism activities goes 100% to the community members. It doesn't come to the NGO. We
okay.
want them to get
So,
it directly into their account.
okay, and your foundation has an ATG certification?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay. Now, coming to the last point, what will be your message to our viewers in terms of your experience in the wildlife foundation, human wildlife dispute mitigation, all these things? What will be your message?
I actually would really like more and more people to visit villages, to be very honest. Whether it's MP, whether any tiger reserve that they're visiting next time, for them to
You
visit.
seem to be very fond of tigers.
Yes, I love tigers. For the
Okay.
last 13 years, we've been working for them. I love all animals. Actually, my favorite animal is a leopard, but of course, tiger is just such a charismatic animal. I mean, I mean, moving away from topic, I remember we were doing the village kids awareness program, and we were exhausted because this was the 10th day that we were taking the children to the forest and talking to them, etc. And we were drained. And I see this tigress walk with 4 cubs. I
Okay.
forgot everything. I forgot all my tiredness. I forgot all my exhaustion. I was like, this is why I do what I do, to see them in the wild, free and safe. So, yeah. No, but coming back to how people can help. So, in order for them to even understand how they can help, Abby, most importantly, I feel is that they should visit a village or they should visit project sites first where different NGOs, not just us, but so many organizations are doing great work. They should visit those project sites and maybe pick up an aspect where they can help either by volunteering or by aiding them monetarily or whatever, however the organization may deem fit. So, because I remember this one lady asked me once saying, "Oh, tiger reserves have villages around them?" I said, and it blew my mind. I was like, "Yes, all these protected areas have villages around them. Obviously, with a burgeoning population like ours, how can you not have people?"
Right.
But in my experience in the last 10 years, people have really have the power to make a difference, to make a change, and they already have. Like the communities I work with, um, if they had not supported us in all our efforts, we wouldn't have been able to do half of what we've done till today.
So it's basically like you try and be one with the nature,
Yeah,
observe more, try and be closer to the nature, and try and interact with the people who live closer to the reserve areas. That's what
absolutely.
that makes you a better lover of nature.
Yeah, working with people, understanding the culture without, and most importantly, never, never, never go with any preconceived notions. Don't go in ever with a sense of privilege that, oh, I know better. You have so much to learn. Like, I have learned so much. Like, when I first started, you have this young blood saying, oh, I will protect tigers. I will work with community members. But there was so much I had to relearn, unlearn, learn again. I'm still learning. All of us in the team are still learning. So learn, go as a blank slate, learn, have a cup of tea with the community members, enjoy yourself, and then see how you can help.
One question after the last one. Maybe you said you saw a tiger and you were really thrilled about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Isn't there any danger of seeing a tiger in the wild, being close to that?
Never, never. I've had a tiger walk right next to my gypsy once, and I felt I don't know. There was a feeling of ecstasy. There was absolutely no feeling of danger. Because I have always said this. I feel safer in a forest than a city. To be very honest,
Okay.
I mean, I trust animals more than human beings because I know I'll get killed for this, but they, because their instinct is to look after themselves, to look after the young, to eat, to be safe. That's all they need. Unless you provoke them, unless there's a deliberate provocation, they will never attack. And I've never ever faced that in all my years of going to a forest.
That's good. I mean, thanks for that great journey through your
Thank you.
experiences. Thanks a lot, and wishing you all the very best.
Thank you,
Let's
Abhi.
see, let's see how we can join hands. Otherwise, we'll
Yes.
keep in touch. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much.